ago in a galaxy far, far away, there was the powerful Nerdcast. Hello, my friends. I'm Corey, and joined with me is Christian, and today we have G.I. Jimbo and frickin' El Fuerte with us. How you guys doing?
I'm doing excellent. How are you doing today?
Really, really good. We are excited because this has been an amazing week to be a nerd, especially if you're a fan of comic book movies, because the MCU is exploding. In fact, one of the biggest things that was developed in the last week is that Spider-Man, the web-slinger himself, is going to be joining the MCU. That includes the Avengers, Guardians of the Galaxy, the head, the tail, the whole damn thing. And frankly, I'm excited. Are you guys excited?
Pretty excited about that.
I could be more excited. I think I've seen enough Spider-Man for a little bit.
Yeah, Spider-Man came in on kind of like a rocky territory because Tobey Maguire got really controversial with Spider-Man 3. And then they rebooted it, and I really liked it. But then the second episode of the reboot, or second film, wasn't so great. So Spider-Man isn't exactly coming in on the best terms.
Yeah, I mean, if he would, the second movie, if it would have been stronger, I would be jacked right now. I'd be like, dude, the Avengers came off really well. Spider-Man, I can't wait for him to be a part of the whole thing. But quite honestly, after seeing the second episode of the reboot, I was like, what the hell did they do to Spider-Man? Like, seriously, what the fuck did they do? This didn't make any sense to me.
But in a way, Spider-Man coming in weak works because he was always, like, not quite good enough to be an Avenger. So, I mean, in the comic books, he was kind of a chode compared to, like, Captain America back in the day. So it's kind of a good way to bring him in where he's not quite mature enough, not ready. So maybe that's their angle. Plus, you know, there's politics at play here behind the scenes, too. Yeah. Between Disney and Fox and all these other companies.
Well, of course, the whole business side is very, I'm sure, convoluted, and no one really knows what's going on there. But speaking of bringing Spider-Man in, I think that's what Civil War is going to be all about, which is a big one that they have, a big campaign that they're going to do with the Marvel Universe. And is it 2 movies or just 1?
It's going to be 1 Captain America movie, and this is all eventually leading up to the...
So this is a Captain America movie.
It is. It's going to be Captain America Civil War, but it's also going to have Iron Man in it as well.
Yes. Well, I don't want to be too spoilerific with the Civil War franchise, because if you haven't read the comics, but it's going to be a really powerful set of movies, or powerful movie. And I think that Spider-Man coming in on that and laying some groundwork is actually going to be a good thing for his character.
I think, personally, if they would have done the Spider-Man joining the Marvel Universe before they did the reboot, if that could have been the way they brought the reboot about, I think you'd have had a lot less of a bad taste in your mouth going into him being a part of the Marvel Universe now. I think that's... For me, I'm hopeful that it comes off really well. Similar to the way I watched Guardians of the Galaxy, I had no expectations. So that's what I'm trying to do with this one, where I'm saying, you know what? If they're going to reboot it again and, you know, join him up with Marvel and everything like that, then hopefully it comes off really well. But right now, it's just like,
That is what's kind of surprising. This is actually going to be the 3rd live-action version of Peter Parker that we've seen in less than a decade. And that's why I can understand. It's really hard for people to accept. Another freaking Spider-Man, it's not even going to be Andrew Garfield, and it makes sense. They should have done all this beforehand. It's going to make those other movies, frankly, just not seem that important anymore.
It seems like you might need Peter Parker to wake up from a dream sequence.
Exactly.
And say, you know, those last 2 movies didn't happen. Sorry that Jamie Foxx came in and played, you know, the standard crappy villain that he played in the second one.
In the comic books, Peter Parker was not the only Spider-Man. Just going to throw that out there. Peter Parker is not the only Spider-Man in the Marvel Universe.
No, I get that. But at the same time, if you go back to that second movie, Jamie Foxx played the character that he played. I don't forget the name of the movie.
Electro.
When he had the cello and he was with Robert Downey Jr.
The cellist.
The cellist. Yeah, he played that exact same character. If you haven't seen the movie, he plays this homeless guy who's like
ironically, Robert Downey Jr. is in that movie, but not as Iron Man.
Yeah, not as Iron Man. He actually was just a dude who was played by Robert Downey Jr. But still, he comes in, and he's the exact same character from the cellist. So if you haven't seen it, it's an okay movie, but he just played kind of a slow guy who was just, you know, didn't have a whole lot of opinion of his own. Yeah.
Yeah, problems.
Well, that was the way the character came off.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, no, I haven't even seen the second Spider-Man, so I don't know how to feel about it. I got pissed when, Corey, you told me that the, spoiler alert, the end scene is all you see with the Rhino in the previews is all you see in that movie with that Rhino robot that you see at the end.
It.
That's such a cardinal sin. If you're going to release a trailer for a movie or a commercial, do not put the last scene of the movie in the freaking commercial. That destroys all excitement.
The height of the purest action moments of that series were just given away in the trailer. And I was like, ooh, there's going to be all this extra stuff. No. You know.
Now, funny thing, I don't think Amazing Spider-Man 2 was that bad. I don't think it was Spider-Man 3 bad, and I honestly think it was one of my favorite. Kill me, I liked it. I liked
Spider-Man 3 was horrible.
I mean, no doubt about that.
I never even watched Spider-Man 3 because I
Emo Peter killed it.
When I watched the previews for it and then I saw the reaction to it, I was like, this is something I just don't even feel
and Venom being a skinny dude. Just that was a small
when
sin.
I saw stuff like
Venom
that,
shouldn't be a little dude. No,
It was the guy from that 70s show.
Venom should be
that was
built like the
Topher
Ultimate
Grace.
Warrior.
Yeah, there we go.
No, I mean he should have been built
Ultimate
like
Warrior as Venom.
Venom should run in, shake the ropes.
Yeah, he should have been built like fucking Drago from Rocky IV.
That was what made Venom so cool originally. He was like a true like contrast to Spider-Man.
He was the anti-hero.
He had
because
the
he was
powers, but he wasn't a copy. He was
Instead, he was a reporter with competition, and ego.
Yeah, he was
that's
just
not really the right thing at all.
He was technically the Yang to Peter Parker's Yin, basically, and that's what made him such a great character. But then that's one of the reasons I didn't see the third original Spider-Man, because it was like, you know what, dude, if you're gonna fuck Venom up like this, I just don't even really think I need to be involved with this. Because I was so excited when I heard the previews for it.
I think Disney deserves some points because I don't think anybody thought Disney would be the company that kept it truer to the story.
Yeah,
Out of
like
all
Disney
the companies
moves in, buys your rights, and then does it right. They start making their money back immediately.
That's why there's going to be a new Spider-Man. If you get right down to it, this is the first Spider-Man that's now owned by Marvel Studios, which is now Disney. The others were, I believe, Fox. And speaking of that, now they're killing the Fantastic Four comic book just to shut down the franchise so Fox loses money on the movies. That's brand new. Just came out.
Yeah, I heard about
weekend.
that, but at the same time, I don't like the Fantastic Four because of the comics. I only know of them.
Yeah, they're not like
because of pop culture and watching
like
the
our
show.
they were real popular in our parents' generation.
Yeah,
and they didn't really carry over the same way the X-Men did.
No, and there's just Mr. Fantastic is boring.
Yeah,
let's just be honest. He's not that cool. The Thing is cool. The Human Torch is cool, and the Invisible Woman has unlimited powers. Like I don't really understand her powers.
Yeah,
like
it's weird.
Yes, and
let's not forget Ben Grimm though.
He is good. If they could just pull him
obviously
out.
the Thing and the Human Torch, I think, are the strongest elements of the Fantastic Four.
That's
the things I care about the most. It's just
the
Fantastic Four are a product of the 1960s, and they haven't really evolved beyond that at all.
Well, they really haven't.
Speaking of Ben Grimm and the Thing and all that stuff, I just saw Michael Chiklis was doing part of the new American Horror Story, and I was sitting there watching, and I was like, you know what, this dude is one of those actors that finds a way to whatever part he's a part of. He was on The Shield. He was amazing as a dirty cop. He was the Thing. He was amazing as the Thing. Like he actually, to me, brought a better feeling to that character because I'm with you guys. The Fantastic Four was always one of the shittiest of all the comics. It was like
who would ever pick Spider-Man over the Fantastic Four? Like no one. Who would pick? Well, I can't say Superman or Batman.
The point is, are you going to go see the X-Men with Wolverine and Cyclops and Storm, or are you going to go see freaking Fantastic Four?
You're going to go see Wolverine.
You're going to go see
I think
Wolverine.
the strongest element about Fantastic Four might be the villains, and I still can barely name any of them. Doctor Doom.
That was the first one that sprang to mind. Was
Doctor Doom. He jumps over to the Avengers
There's
as
the
much
one
now.
that has all their powers that looks like the Green Goblin.
I remember. Super Skrull.
Super Skrull.
Yeah.
Which his name doesn't fit him. He looks like a goblin.
And the only reason I remember him is because he was in Marvel vs. Capcom 3. That's it. Like, I never got around to reading the Fantastic Four comics. I watched the cartoon series a little bit when I was a kid. Saw the first movie, was disappointed. Even more disappointed when they turned Galactus into a big freaking storm cloud. I'm still, like, feeling the effects of that. And that's what's got me afraid for the new Fantastic Four movie. Because they can only go downhill from here.
Yeah, one of the
this
things
franchise.
I heard Civil War was coming out, I actually started to read comics, and I read the Civil War,
I've read it. It's pretty good.
Yeah, and I was amazed at how much I really liked the comics. Like, I didn't think I was going to like them that much. And then all of a sudden, I was like, oh, I'm really getting into this. But Corey and I, we actually review manga, which is like a Japanese comic book, and I wait every Thursday morning and like read these 20 pages and get really into it. So I guess liking a comic book is not that far-fetched. It's pretty much the same thing. But Civil War is really good, and I really wish we could just say spoiler alert and just talk about the whole thing. But I'm not sure how the internet would like that.
On top of that, who knows how much of the comic book story they use.
Well, we could at least talk about what we like from the comic and what we hope transfers over. But, do you feel like we shouldn't talk about it in extreme
Well, I mean, that's the thing. The Civil War story has already been around for a while in terms of comic book form. I really don't think we're going to spoil anything for this movie. I mean, the whole concept of the movie itself is just like the superheroes are like being divided.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a civil war.
And I think everybody knows who the main two sides are. I think everybody out there knows it's Captain America versus Iron Man.
And they've been actually building that up in the movie in such a smart way.
Yeah, since the first Avengers. I mean, it's already started. That edge.
True.
I mean, even in the first Captain America, he had issues with his grandfather. So, I mean, he was stealing his girl.
Yeah, I just think that movie is going to be, if it's even half of what the comic book series was, it's going to be pretty amazing.
I'm hopeful. It's just every time a new comic book movie comes out, you always have that. Is it going to be Daredevil? Or is it going to be the first X-Men movie?
I don't know. If I had a gauge, like if I was looking at how much I lean when I go into a movie, if I think it's going to be good or bad, mostly I think it's going to be good nowadays.
Yeah.
Yes.
These
Daredevil
days it
sucked,
has.
But like they had to make Daredevil to figure out how to make Guardians of the Galaxies. And they did.
True, because Guardians of the Galaxy, I hate to keep going back to that one, but that's one of the movies that when I first saw
great movie.
When I first saw the previews for it, I was like, fuck this movie. I am not going to see Guardians of the Galaxy because Chris Pratt is not a leading dude.
Yeah.
He doesn't seem like a guy that I'm going to buy as the main character of anything. And the chick from it, I forget her name, I was like, why isn't she blue? In Avatar, this doesn't make any sense to me.
Like an Avatar chick.
Yeah, so it didn't, the whole thing was just like, what? And then when I went in to go see it, I sat down to watch it. The villains from that movie, Ronin and shit like that, were some of the best villains you'd seen so far. It was one of the best drawn villains overall as far as the character and the development and everything.
I mean, I go as far as to say Guardians is probably the best Marvel movie thus far. I mean, and I like the part that you brought up. You're like, what is this Avatar crap? That's what's genius about those movies, because everybody looks so strange and everything, but they just act like normal people, and that's why you're able to relate to them so well.
Bradley Cooper as Rocket was one of the best decisions they ever made, ever, because like
he was a very good voice actor.
Oh, you could watch. Well, I mean, you can watch him. Like he's the whole American Sniper thing and all that stuff. He's become one of those transcendent guys that started out in the Hangover movies as being like his big calling card, and then moved on very Jamie Foxx-esque, where he started out as like something completely over here and was like, you know what, I'm going to go a totally different direction right now. So I had no idea what he was going to be as a voice actor, and then when he comes on as Rocket, that was one of the funniest characters I've seen in a movie, in a comic book movie, in quite a long time.
The thing that I really liked about Guardians of the Galaxy, not to take it in too much of a different direction, but I thought every character had a purpose. I was like, okay, if you're going to put 5 people on screen and make me watch all of them, make me care about each of them. However many there were, 5. But the point is that everyone pulled their weight. And even the people that like came in, I always forget this actor's name, but the guy from The Walking Dead that was the blue guy with the rock mohawk that had the arrow thing.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. He was also in Tombstone.
He was also in Tombstone.
He was Matt Masterson.
Yeah. But that guy was great.
I'll be a Huckleberry.
Yeah. That actor was great. And the Collector was cool. Like, what part of Guardians of the Galaxy sucked?
There's nothing that sucked about it.
And they left a great little thing at the end where you're trying to figure out who they're going to make his dad. And I really don't think they're going to stick to the comic books at all, because his father was fairly inconsequential in the comic books.
Yeah, I Wikipedia'd it whenever I want to find something out, and they never really talk about him.
And I think I think Marvel's already pretty much said, don't even bother thinking we're going down the comic book road, because this is way better.
And I mean, to be fair, the Guardians are really obscure. Like, can you honestly say you knew who the Guardians of the Galaxy were?
No freaking idea.
No. Well, they got shut down halfway through their run after I read on Wikipedia, and this movie really brought them back.
What was this? One of the most obscure things you've seen, and then like I forget his name. I know who you're talking about, but the guy with the arrow where he whistles. I mean, he took out like 20 dudes in one scene, but because of the way the weapon had been drawn up to that point, it wasn't one of those times where you watch a comic book movie and go, "Really? Are we really going to believe this happened?" It was one of those times where you watched it and went, "Well, this dude could probably do that. I've seen him, destroy some pretty cool shit up to this point."
He backed it up. It was like there was a line between corny and serious and badass in that movie, and they wrote it real well.
And I think that movie also established that you're in a universe where shit like that happens.
Yeah, where shit like that's different.
This is not Earth. This is a fantastic place where fantastic things happen. And it's not far-fetched.
One of the best things of that movie is to take a character that has 5 words he says throughout the entire movie. I think it was 5 words total that the character Groot says throughout the movie. And by the end of it, you really, really give a shit about this character. Mm-hmm. Like, you're invested in the character.
A CGI character.
Yeah. It was
that says a few words.
It was for once I really believed Vin Diesel was a great actor. When he was the voice actor.
It's another one of those roles where I really think they chose an actor that played to their strengths. He is a good voice actor. I mean, did anybody see the Iron Giant, the cartoon movie from
Most
back
people
then?
don't know he was
Same situation. Dude barely says a word. Boy, does he bring life to that role.
You just made me realize that is his I Am Groot predecessor. Not predecessor, prequel.
Yeah. That was his audition tape when he went in for Groot. Here. I'm the Iron Giant.
The characters are very
And
similar.
I was in the Fast and the Furious. No. Don't focus on Fast and the Furious. Let's go back to Iron Giant, okay?
Yeah.
Now, what's really cool about Vin Diesel, though, is he is actually really talented. It's not like he just went in there and said everything in English. He actually can speak multiple languages, and he actually dubbed the voice of Groot. in every single country that they aired Guardians of
wow.
the Galaxy in. So wherever you watch Guardians of the Galaxy,
It's
whatever
him.
country, whatever bootleg DVD freaking pickup, it's gonna be Vin Diesel every single time.
I also heard an interview where he said doing that with all the different emotions and things like that actually helped him get over the death of Paul Walker. So he was like, yeah, that role was really helpful for me and therapeutic for getting over Paul Walker's death. And if you think about the timing, it makes sense because he was probably voicing it over around the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So
I never have been a huge fan of the whole Fast and Furious series, but I could see where something like
first
that
one was cool when the Charger did the wheelie and the orange car, the Supra was following it. That was cool, but then I don't remember anything else.
Well, it's what I was getting at is it's
telling.
I'm sure The Rock made an appearance at one point.
Yeah.
What I was getting at though is I can understand being like an actor who's like your face is associated with that franchise, and then as soon as the franchise, like one of the main guys passes away in the middle of production, like that's got to be a mind fuck to be still working and doing other projects and having to like channel emotion and go into those other projects. That's got to be really difficult. So I do give him credit for being able to do that. I just think,
well, and you're trying to be funny. You're making jokes and stuff. It's all good.
yeah, but I just think as an actor,
acting.
no, he's a terrible fucking actor. I'm not going to say that he's a good actor like whatsoever. He's not as bad as Nick Cage, but
Just about to give him a compliment, and I steered you into saying shitty
Maybe not
things.
so much an actual like live action actor. Maybe a voice actor is what he really excels.
Maybe
Bradley
that would be
Cooper was awesome as a voice actor. You know, like,
yeah,
it's just
Bradley
different
Cooper.
talents.
Yeah.
Speaking of awesome actors in Marvel Universe, how about Doctor Strange?
Oh my
I don't know
gosh!
anything
Isn't
about
that
that.
Benedict Cumberbatch? Yes.
Cumberfish or whatever.
Oh
his
my
name
gosh!
is.
That's another.
His last name is so full of jokes. It's like you don't even have to try.
Now that's the thing too.
Mr. Cumberbund.
The Spider-Man movie is happening. They're doing another one in 2017. This is actually pushing back a lot of those other Marvel movies, just like Doctor Strange and Black Panther and all of those. And that kind of disappoints me because I was really looking forward to Black Panther. Because I don't know anything about the character. I'm just excited about it. The costume design looks really interesting.
I think he's basically Black Batman.
That's what everybody says.
That's
you look at him
basically-
and that's what you think because his costume looks very similar.
He's a black
to
dude.
Batman. But from
That's
what I
about all I
understand,
know
he's
about
got like
him.
mystical powers. He's like the king of an African like country. It's crazy. Like I
Yeah, I think he has a lot in common with the Phantom, with the guy from the comic books from back when the comic books were in the newspaper.
Oh gosh, you're talking about the guy with the big
purple
hat,
guy,
Purple with the
I don't
black
know. I
mask
don't know
and
where
shit.
we're going.
the Shadow.
not the
Not
Shadow,
the Shadow,
newer.
the Phantom.
The Phantom.
Oh, the guy who had the purple.
He'd the ring. He'd punch you and leave a skull.
Oh
in
yeah,
your
he's
face.
the guy who was played by the douchebag from Titanic.
Billy Joe.
Yeah.
Billy Zane.
Wait,
Yeah.
Willie
Yeah.
Zane. Yeah,
Ben Zane? Is that
Billy
what it is?
Zane.
Okay, Billy Zane played. What's the name of that character though?
the Phantom.
The Phantom.
The Phantom.
And he wore a purple suit. So
Is that the one where he was tried to stab that chick and then the knife had a face on it?
No, that was the.
You're
Shadow.
thinking of the Shadow when
Shadow.
Alec
That-
Baldwin,
that was
like
my
I always
predecessor.
skinny Alec Baldwin.
I have all those confused all the time. The Phantom and those seem to merge in my head for some reason.
Then there's
They came out at
also
the same time.
there's
Yeah.
also a Dean Koontz novel called Phantoms that Ben Affleck was in. So it's all very confusing.
Phantom
Using
Joe.
that word.
Phantom
Yeah,
Joe.
Phantom's like a motherfucker.
But another Marvel movie, one that's actually not related to the MCU at all. Have you guys heard of Deadpool?
Yes.
Yes. This is a movie that has been in development hell for years, but finally they're making it. Ryan Reynolds is still attached to it, and just this week they revealed what Deadpool's mask is going to look like, and it looks just like the comic. And
Really?
so much so, even the eye holes are white. It
That's
literally
dope.
looks like it's going to pop right off the screen, and it looks amazing.
I'm gonna write somebody angry letters if they don't have Ryan Reynolds like go to theaters and troll people as Deadpool.
That would be an
Because
amazing marketing ploy. Just get him to come to theaters.
Deadpool's the only character that
Yeah,
works
like give
for
him a
him.
shittier costume, you know, and then let him like. Talk
But
shit
have it
during
actually
the
be
movie.
Ryan Reynolds
Yeah.
in his shitty costume, talking shit about the good costume. I can totally see that.
When they did the CGI
That's a
teaser
great
for
idea.
that,
You guys can have it.
when they did the CGI trailer for that,
We want 10%.
everybody I knew who was huge into Deadpool was like, is this really happening? Is this really going on? Because a few people that I showed it to, because for a little while when it was still like, you know, the leaked footage and everything like that, when people would come over to the house and stuff like that, I'd be like, dude, you have to watch this. Like people who were into comics, and everybody was like, oh my God, is this actually happening? So when I finally heard word that Ryan Reynolds was going to move forward with the project and they were working on a script and they'd gotten it approved and all this shit, it was like, yes, because that's one of those characters that Ryan Reynolds,
He's a good actor. I like him.
he's a good actor, but when they did the Deadpool-ish thing in Wolverine, I kind of really wanted to grab a kitten and swing it around the room. I mean, and that's, I like kittens. I'm not opposed to kittens, but I really just felt the need to bash something beautiful because they fucked the Deadpool character up so bad.
In every possible, not just the appearance, just the fact that Deadpool is a character who never shuts up. He's constantly talking.
With the mouth.
What did they do in that movie?
They sewed his mouth
shut. What the hell is that?
Who the fuck was a part of the script writing?
I've seen the behind the scenes, and this is what they say. I'm just playing devil's advocate, just so you guys know. They said because it was the early version of the X-Men, like them trying to make Wolverine and stuff, it was a alternate universe where they fucked up and had to use Deadpool before he was ready. So that's kind of the way they justify it,
No, that sounds like somebody. That sounds like somebody in the production department going, "How do we explain that we fucked Deadpool up so bad?"
Yeah.
That doesn't make a damn bit of sense to me.
They made him gave him Cyclops' power at one point, and
he had swords in his arms like Wolverine.
Yeah,
he can warp.
Yeah, I mean, I get that he had some regeneration, and I mean, I get all that stuff. What Deadpool the character is supposed to be, but what they put in that movie really, really made me angry to the point where I was like, can we just have this be a dream sequence too?
Now, the beauty of this new movie, what I really love about it
doesn't
is...
remember because he got his head shot in.
That's true. But in a way, they're kind of erasing all of this because the new X-Men movie just came out, Days of Futures Past, and they're basically going to sort of pretend like X-Men Origins Wolverine never happened.
Yeah.
And there's a big rumor going on in this movie, like one of the first scenes of the film is going to be Ryan Reynolds, full costume, talking about how all of that got erased to the viewers and saying how it sucked. Like, actually addressing that.
That's badass.
If they go forward with that, this might end up being one of the best action-like comedies ever.
That could be incredible. You have Deadpool come out and say, "Oh, by the way, all that shitty stuff doesn't count anymore." Walk off screen. That would be great and very bold. Actually.
How much further do you guys think you can go with Wolverine or with Hugh Jackman as Wolverine?
I don't really care for some reason.
That's the thing. I'm Wolverined out. I don't even want a new Wolverine. I've had enough of the character.
Bring that character out of the spotlight and don't put anyone there. Have them Guardian of the Galaxy where they're all cool. Stop that.
To be fair, they did do that with Days of Futures Past. Like, Wolverine was not the main star the whole time.
He wasn't.
In fact, every time he was off screen and they were focusing on other people, I was really getting into it more than any other X-Men movie in a long time.
I just feel like because they used new characters, it didn't even feel connected to those other films. It's like its own thing. It's its own universe, even though they're connected. But it's kind of that's why I like the first ones a lot too. And it had a lot of British people. They sound cool.
X-Men First Class to me was like one of the best reboot-ish type things that they did, where they, you bring in a young Charles Xavier and a young Eric Lensher, and you're just like, everybody's into it, and it's just this collaborative world, and how great is Kevin Bacon in that movie? I mean, Sebastian Shaw was, he was a good character in the comics, but Kevin Bacon really made him stand off the page to where
Kevin
it was
Bacon
like,
was
holy
the shit in that movie.
Yeah, I mean, he just
Kevin Bacon still got it after you watch that movie.
Oh yeah, like when you watch the movie, like when he's talking to Emma Frost, and he's like, you're one of the most intriguing, you know what I'm thinking right now, you're one of the most intriguing women I've ever met, and I'm also thinking this could use some ice, and he hands her the cup. It's just like, damn it, man, just little simple things like that they were able to bring to that movie. So I think getting back to the whole idea of rebooting Spider-Man for a third fucking time, it can be good if you do it correctly. If you find the right people and the right script, it can be done correctly, but it's still one of those things you got to be careful with.
And what's really cool is, like, now that he is going to be a part of MCU, like, they can't screw it up. Like, they can't just pretend it didn't happen. He's in it now, so this is going to be like a permanent addition. And I kind of hope they go for a really young Spider-Man.
I do too.
I really want like a teenage Spider-Man because they need to make him be like the rookiest of all the superheroes of the MCU. Like, whenever he hangs out with the Avengers, he needs to be the one who's constantly getting his ass kicked and having to be saved by the others, but still having a lot of funny quips like Spider-Man usually does.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's one of the main things about Spider-Man, which I feel Garfield, the last actor, got right. And he was like goofy and fun and interesting, Well, what's the other guy's name?
Tobey Maguire.
Tobey Maguire. He was just sort of like a nerd. He wasn't interesting that much as a person.
I think the first movie he came across with Peter Parker
obviously,
perfectly.
it all sort of fell apart, is it?
Yeah, I think when you try to take him further than that, it was like, with the Dr. Octopus thing, and like, really, this is just, it's okay, I guess. We're still here doing this. But it just, the first movie came across well. I thought Peter Parker was, came really well off the screen. You really were into the characters. Kirsten Dunst, did a great job as Mary Jane in the thing, but it just...
Snaggletooth?
Yeah, it just all came off the rails.
I mean, I gotta
Not a Kirsten Dunst fan over there, I'm guessing.
Man, yeah, like you really just cut her deep just now. Man.
Sorry, man. I love that short film she was in.
It's genius though when you really think about it, because you look at all the Spider-Man movies, the Sam Raimi originals. They basically made the same movie 3 times.
I'll be right back.
Like every single movie of the it just insert different villain. Peter Parker still has problems with Mary Jane until the end. They make up and they repeat it in the next movie. Like every single one is the same, and you never really see Tobey Maguire evolve like as a character throughout that entire thing.
No, and that's where the whole thing seemed to fall down, is that you never got any growth. Whereas you go over to the DC world for just a second. I know we're crossing platforms, don't cross the streams, but you go over to the DC world for a minute, and it's with Batman. When you saw Nolan's Batmans, Christian Bale as Bruce Wayne grew as a character all the way through the thing. By the third movie, you really felt like this was a guy who was just at his wit's end. He just couldn't keep up this facade anymore. You know, even though the third one is kind of, to me, one of those movies that, again, should be a dream sequence. From the first one to the third one, the first one, he's this cocky billionaire that grows into Batman and gives a shit about everything. And then the second one, he has his world shattered, you know, by his girl being taken away from him. And then in the third one, he's this guy with a purpose. There was growth with the character. You actually felt like that character was participating and being a part of he was participating in the actual plot line to the point where he was growing with it. As the story changed, so did he. Whereas Tobey Maguire was kind of like, so it's Dr. Octopus now. Cool. Let's go kill him. And I really wish Mary Jane was cool with me, but, you know, I'll deal with that later. So.
Yeah, that's pretty much the unfortunate case of those original Spider-Man movies. They have some good moments. They're still pretty cheesy. Some parts haven't really aged all that well. Despite that, though, I like that you brought up DC, because obviously with all these big new Marvel movies coming out, they got a lot of competition. And what I love about Marvel is they've basically said, hey, look, DC, we can pull one of our really obscure properties like Guardians of the Galaxy, and we can make a ton of money with it. Yep. How come you guys, who have so many classic characters, are doing nothing with them? I mean, yeah, there's the new Arrow show on TV and Flash and everything,
which is really good.
Which are actually decent.
Arrow. I gave it a shot, and I watched, I think, 3 episodes recently. I was doing some yard work, and I hurt my back and shit, so I was laid up for a little bit. And I was like, well, fuck it, I got Netflix. You know, we'll check out some episodes of Arrow.
I don't know. I haven't even given it a shot.
I actually checked into it, and the action is really good. It doesn't come across as like the music video action that you always see on these fucking shows where, you know, everything's choppy and really tight close-ups on the characters when they're fighting. It actually comes across really well. It comes across as movie action, and the characters are involved. You don't have, you know, oh, this is the villain this week.
I can't get past the bad acting. It's got horrible acting.
I don't think it's a bad actor, honestly. I think the dude who plays Oliver Queen, is that his name? I think he comes across well.
All that crime drama / superhero bullshit.
You probably wouldn't like Gotham. Then
all that. It all goes under the same.
It's very soap opera-y to me.
Yeah,
I watched the whole first season.
I like that stuff. I'm not one of them though. But I like The Walking Dead. It just feels more like a movie.
I watched the first
consistently
season of
watching Arrow. All I could think is, he's no Batman. he's no Batman.
Obviously, he's not Batman. I mean, Batman's had cartoons, television series, multiple movies. I mean, Batman's one of the most involved, in-depth characters of our generation. Our parents' generation, my son's generation, and his kids' generations. Batman will be a part of it. You can't expect someone like Arrow or the Guardians of the Galaxy to even be mentioned in that same breath.
I don't think that.
Don't we already have an Arrow guy? What's the?
I don't think they made Arrow likable.
Are you talking about from the Avengers?
Avengers,
You're talking
yes.
about Hawkeye.
Hawkeye is the version in the Avengers.
That was the fun period between DC and Marvel, where they were like, "Oh yeah, well we have Hawkeye."
In DC, you know, the Green Arrow is supposed to be like Batman's one of his best allies, and in this one he's just like, I don't know. A little bitch. He's a little bitch, and
it's got to be vulnerable for the girls to like him. I'm sorry, guys. You know, it's something like that. I don't know. It's in that soap opera writing. But so, Corey, you do like Gotham, and
I do like Gotham. I don't love it, but there are elements about it I like. My only problem with Gotham is that it features a lot of classic Batman villains, and you're like, oh, well, nothing bad's going to happen to them because they fight Batman later.
True that.
So there's and this is a weird comparison. When I'm watching Gotham, it's like the Muppet Babies of Batman. This is like
That's
them when
awesome.
they're younger. They're all hanging out with nannies still. And it just, I don't know, it just comes across as a little cheesy. When they do introduce new characters, it is fun, but sometimes it kind of messes with stuff. Like the last episode I saw was all about the backstory of the Scarecrow. Jonathan Crane, and they introduce his father character, who's basically the Scarecrow too. Like, his whole thing is trying to develop a serum that will create him from not feeling fear anymore, and then eventually he puts it into his son's body, who starts freaking out. He sees like a weird fiery Scarecrow, and that's it. That's the end of the episode right there. It doesn't really like move the character of the Scarecrow along. It's just like, oh, that's what he was doing when he was younger. Getting injections from his dad.
That's why he's fucked up.
It doesn't really add anything to the mythos, but...
As a matter of fact, I think that actually subtracts from it, because now you're just making him a victim.
And that's what I'm really afraid about this week's episode, because it's going to possibly involve the Joker. But he's not the Joker.
I don't want to be the Joker.
You guys know like the whole like backstory of the Joker and the Red Hood?
Is he Jack Napier?
It depends. Is he Jack Napier, or is he the random dude who killed Bruce Wayne's
parents?
That's
the thing. The preview for the episode just shows this one guy who's a part of this Red Hood gang. And in the comics, the Joker apparently originally was in this gang. They just show him with a weird, creepy smile, and that's it. They don't even say if it's the Joker yet, but they are heavily implying it. But again, they can't do the Joker without Batman. Batman is still friggin', I think, like 12 years old in the show.
The Red Hood's been used so many times in DC. At one time, that was one of the Robins became Red Hood.
Mm-hmm. Which
After
I think is
Joker
awesome.
beat him to death, and then what's his name? Ra's al Ghul put him in one of those Lazarus pits, and he came back evil because the Lazarus pit taints you and shit. And he started his own gang trying to kill the Joker. And then Batman figured out who it was, and he's all like, "Oh God, it's Robin."
I actually saw that through a DC animated movie, which I highly recommend.
It was a very good. That's where I saw the story too.
Like,
very good
movie. It had
movie.
Joe DiMaggio, who's the voice of Bender, and Jake the dog from Adventure Time doing the Joker.
Many people don't know that.
There's several Batman animated movies that are top
Mask of
quality.
the Phantasm, I think, is
very
the
good one.
Mask of the Phantasm is
period.
Off the fucking chain. Every time I see that movie on like cable or some shit like that, I'm like, well, I'm involved. Let's do this. But it's the one thing that I will say is as much different shit as you can do with Batman. And let's be honest, Batman Forever is one of the biggest abortions in cinema ever. I mean, how the fuck do you put
They
George
just threw money
Clooney
at it and said, hope this works.
How do you put Mr. Freeze as Arnold Schwarzenegger, who's like
have him
got
run
this
around being all like, "Ah, Mr.
I'm a
Freeze."
slapstick vaudeville comedian. Look at me.
Nice to meet you.
I mean, what the fuck? But as many things as you can go through in the Batman world and do that sort of shit with Batman, the one thing that, in my opinion, you can't fuck with is the Joker. Cesar Romero did a great job as the Joker.
Yeah.
Jack Nicholson did a great job as the Joker. Yes. Mark Hamill did a great job as the Joker when he was the voice for all the fucking things. I don't know. I would say Heath Ledger was right there with him when it comes to the fucking way that he portrayed the Joker. But you have never had anybody really fucking, really just like piss on the Joker the way that Joel Schumacher pissed all over the mythos when it came to fucking Iron. I mean,
well, you're gonna love to hear that
Mr.
Donnie
Freeze.
Darko is the new Joker in Suicide Squad.
That's true.
Who?
It totally is. The Suicide Squad movie. That's
Shane loves Donnie Darko, the movie.
It's going to have the Joker in it as one of like the main villains of the movie. What's the name of the actor who's playing him? Or
what's his name?
Gyllenhaal?
Yeah, Gyllenhaal.
He's
no.
It's either Gyllenhaal or Leto. It might be Jared Leto.
It is Jared.
Jared Leto.
It is. That's
Jared.
exactly who it is.
Sorry, I thought it was Donnie Darko, but they look similar.
Well, Jake Gyllenhaal, I just saw Nightcrawler recently, which have you guys, anybody seen Nightcrawler?
I keep seeing the previews for it, but I haven't watched it.
It's probably one of the best movies released in the past 2 or 3 years. And I say that only because of the performance by Jake Gyllenhaal. He took a character that's basically autistic and a little bit sociopathic and just made him a relatable anti-hero. It was one of the best things I've seen because it took a movie that I had, again, no expectation for. I've seen the previews and nothing about the previews made me go, this looks really interesting. It looked more like, we'll see what happens. And it was one of those Friday nights. We were like, let's go see a movie. Me and my wife and my son hop in the car. We go sit down. All of us are gushing about it for the next 3 days. It's one of those movies that just jumped off the page. So, as I'm not a huge fan of Donnie Darko, when it came to the fact that he may be playing the Joker, I was excited about. And now my feelings are crushed because it's Jared Leto.
Jared Leto's a pretty good actor. I mean, he got an Oscar a little while ago for playing a chick or something.
I mean, at this point in
For
time,
playing a chick? What?
Yeah, he played a cross-dressing man or a chick with gender issues or something. I know he was wearing a wig. That's what I know.
I do not remember that one.
I don't know if he was wearing a wig or if that was just his beautiful hair. Cause
he was in Fight
true.
Club, so he gets points for that.
Yeah. Was he the dude that got punched to death?
He was.
I felt like destroying something beautiful.
Yeah, that line.
Yeah, he was that guy. He was the pretty
Repeated.
blonde guy who then looks like the Mask afterwards.
Yeah.
I'm going to hold my reservations, though, on Jared Leto playing the Joker because before Dark Knight came out, Heath Ledger,
I was
like,
convinced.
oh, this is a terrible decision. And he ended up just,
It kind of reminds me of when Tom Cruise played Lestat. I think everybody was expecting that to suck balls, and then he was like,
movie?
"Wow,
Interview with the Vampire."
Interview with the Vampire.
Oh,
You ever seen that one?
No.
Before they turned the rest of those movies into B movies.
Not just the rest of them
Stuart
being into B
Townsend.
movies, but you took this like really, I don't know how to say it. You took a character that was drawn to be a very, romantic character in the movie or in the books, and then put him into the movie, and you really liked Lestat and hated him at the exact same time. And that was due to the performance by Tom Cruise, I seriously feel as though, because plenty of people could have screwed that character up. But I felt the same way when I heard Heath Ledger was going to be Joker. I was like, 10 things I hate about you, Heath Ledger? Is this the same guy? Because I just don't think that's going to work.
Knight's Tale.
That's what I was thinking of, too. I couldn't think of that movie.
Is it going to be a musical?
I was like, really? Like,
Dude, I don't care what anybody says. I like A Knight's Tale.
Corey stands out for the
Dude,
weird
I don't
ones.
know why I always say I like that movie. I can't help it. I love when they're walking out and they're doing the We Will Rock You and Medieval
Yeah, I was
Times. It
good
makes no
until
sense,
that hit.
but it's so much fun.
I was good until
everybody's-
modern music
It's
started
like it's a
playing.
big joke, and it's like they're really at a Renaissance festival, but they never.
Dude, if
cut.
that movie's on TV, I just sit down and watch it.
Yeah.
I have no idea
That
why.
movie had great potential.
I really can't, dude. I can't explain it. You look like you want to murder me right
I'll tell you.
It
what,
looks like they went in with two
it's
concepts and
better
couldn't pick.
than that Martin Lawrence Black Knight one, though. It's better than that. That movie's.
I never saw that movie.
saw it.
I got to be
saw
honest
it.
and say,
Yeah, it was better.
when I see Martin Lawrence anywhere in the thing, I'm like, nah, I'm good.
Unless Bad Boys. Bad Boys.
Bad
is pretty
Boys
good.
did-
Bad
Both
Boys, Bad Boys
fucking
1,
fire.
I'm fine with that. When it was just Bad Boys, as soon as you put numbers behind it, I don't want to be
I don't know.
involved.
Bad Boys 2 wasn't bad.
Bad Boys 2 was good.
Bay,
It was
Michael
okay.
Bay explosions are fun sometimes.
Yeah, dude, with the right
There definitely
movie.
are times when you feel like, okay, let's go see something that explodes. And if it's Michael Bay, I'm
because they weren't
involved.
transforming while things were exploding. I was okay with it.
Yeah.
you know?
When it comes to Transformers, I as far as I can go with that is I saw the first Transformers and thought it was fucking awesome. The first time it makes the actual Transformers noise
Yeah,
from the
beginning,
first Transformers.
The first time, it's cool.
Oh,
It
I
was
won't deny.
awesome.
I trash those movies all the time, but when we were in theaters and that freaking helicopter started to I was at the edge of my
Oh, I
seat.
marked out like a bitch, dude. As soon as that, I was like,
No.
yeah.
The first one was doable. After that,
After that, well, I mean, they did do a reboot-ish kind of
Well,
thing when they added Mark
reinvent
Wahlberg.
themselves. They kept doing the same thing over and over again, but just making it bigger. Or
with
then
with
adding
newer
dinosaurs.
stars and different actors.
Yeah, I was
and-
like, you guys.
now we have The Rock in this movie.
That's what you can do. Anytime the movie
now we have The Rock and Marky Mark in the movie, and it's still going to be.
Whenever they
Autobots
announce
versus
like
Decepticons.
a human actor for the Transformer, I'm just like, I do not.
Who
give a
cares?
Shit
Yeah, why-
about the humans in this movie.
If you were
whatsoever.
Mark Wahlberg, or I mean, I guess the money is the answer, but why would you do that movie? I mean, you're going to be
I don't know.
second
it's like,
fiddle to the robots, no matter who you are.
Personally, I think he's got kids, and they pushed him to do it. You know, they
If I had
just-
kids, it would be pretty awesome at Christmas. Be like, so what
yeah, if
Transformer
you're like
do you
some
want?
awesome voice actor or an actor that gets to play in a Transformer film, why not? You know,
I don't
like,
know.
I also heard Conan O'Brien's in the next Lego video game, and he said it's just because his kids found out he got the offer, and he's like, "Fuck, they made me do it."
Speaking of Legos, I saw the Lego movie recently, and I got
I've
to
heard it's
admit,
good.
when I first saw the previews for it, I was like,
Before
really?
we move on, though, quickly, speaking of kids making parents take a role, let's all be thankful that Viggo Mortensen's son was a fan of Lord of the Rings because he had never heard of the books, was not a fan, and was going to turn it down. And we could have had a much shittier Aragorn had it not been for his children being like, "No, Dad."
I did not know that.
You were
His
gonna
son
be
is
in-
really who pushed him to do that role.
Yeah, he had no. He who was it that was actually slated? Somebody was actually filming, and like it was kind of like the story behind Back to the Future, where somebody was like training for sword fighting and everything, and got axed at the last minute.
Eric Stoltz.
It wasn't Eric
Yeah, it
Stoltz.
replaced
was
by,
Eric Stoltz.
It was Eric
Michael
Stoltz
J.
in Back to the
Fox.
Future, but I don't remember who Vigo replaced.
Like, imagine if The Matrix was made with Will Smith.
It's what it worked.
I mean, every time I think about that, I'm just like imagining him with one of his one-liners,
Which is weird
and all
because
those
Will
teeth,
Smith is
'cause
a
when he
much
smiles-
better actor than Keanu Reeves.
a great actor, but Keanu
I don't
Yeah,
know.
I agree. Would have been right.
But I
Yeah.
think it's very similar to if you
I'm
go back to the
actually
Matrix.
Vigo replaced.
If you got to look at if you look at the Matrix, you had to have that dry, not a lot of emotion. I'm kind of a shitty actor thing for Neo because it made him a lot more pronounced as the hero when he
What
grew.
is Arnold Schwarzenegger during Terminator? He is a blank sort of like robot.
Exactly.
Dude. You know, it's like
Exactly.
the same kind of
made to play that role.
Dude,
Yeah.
the original Terminator was terrifying.
The original Terminator.
Terminator 2 is more fun.
The first one was a slasher
Absolutely.
movie, basically.
Yeah, the first one was a horror movie. It
Yeah,
wasn't
the
a-
first one was one of the
wasn't an
scariest things that
adventure.
you'd seen.
Dude, I was terrified. I mean, I was like a kid when that came out. I think it was like 84,
Yeah,
so
I
I
was
was like
raised
6.
on that shit, you know,
and I'm
it's
like
like-
going,
Same thing with Predator.
That guy.
Same thing with Predator. The first time I saw Predator, my dad was like, I think I was like 12, 10 or 12, something like that.
That was my first R movie.
Like 10, 12 years old sitting there, and this dude is like ripping, like we watched it on video. We didn't watch it on cable or anything. And when dude's ripping spines and skulls out of bodies, as a 10 or 12-year-old kid, I'm like, oh my God.
I just had a realization. I just said when you were like talking about Terminator, it was my first R movie. Does that even matter anymore? Because you can get on the internet and see anything. Like
no.
It's such a different experience.
Dude, it was so hard to see cool movies when we were kids.
I know.
Yeah, but now you can go online and see anything you want. You can go see anything from Terminator to ISIS murders.
I hated when my parents wouldn't let me see something, and I finally got to see it, and it was a letdown. Like RoboCop,
yeah.
Not because RoboCop was a bad movie,
Fucking
but I
RoboCop's
expected
amazing, okay?
I
I'm
expected like spines to be ripped out of chest and shit. The way my parents were like, "No, you can't see that movie." And I watched it. I'm like,
well, I'm sure RoboCop blew their mind.
I guess, but I mean, I was like, this isn't that bad.
Yeah, there's definitely those times. But going back to a second ago, you were talking about you got into reading comics when you heard the Civil War thing was coming
I was
out
like,
for
I gotta know
Marvel.
what's going to happen.
Reading comics to me today reminds me a lot of what watching television was like when we were kids, because now you have to wait for that next episode to come out. If you're into a current comic, you're waiting for that shit to come back out when it comes out, unless you're reading something older like he was with the Civil War thing. But if you're actually into a comic that's out now, that's the only thing that's very similar to television. For the most part, if you don't like waiting for the episodes, you'll just wait to the end of the season of Walking Dead and be like, well,
That's what I
I'll
do.
just
Watch it on Netflix.
Yeah, I'll grab that shit on Netflix, or I'll go to Project Free TV or whatever and just watch it.
I refuse to watch anything on the network's schedule.
It's kind of like a stand you made. You're like, no longer.
I won't watch. I won't sit there and wait for Tuesday. Shit's not going to happen.
I just not Breaking Bad. Walking Dead is the only thing I watch when it comes out. But I will say the commercial sucks so bad.
I bet.
It is such.
I can't do commercials
someone
anymore.
will get their arm bit by a zombie, and then it will cut to a Kia commercial, and I'm like, you motherfuckers, you're just taking me out of this shit, like left and right.
It's no different than when I was when 24 was on television. It was one of those shows that was just so intense.
No. Do you like Frosted Flakes?
Exactly. You'd get to the end of the thing and like, you know, and then we will have to use a drill to drill into your temple unless you tell us the truth. Doop, doop, doop.
To be fair,
have you ever driven a Dodge? And it's like, what the fuck?
To be fair, I think that works for a show like 24, though, which is all about like
tension.
You're constantly out of time. You know, just listen to Kiefer Sutherland. That's all he ever says half the time when he's not shooting people in the face.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. I loved whenever those numbers popped up. I always went, oh!
And always whisper yelling. I'm always whisper yelling.
I'll give you that, Corey. That 24 works, but The Walking Dead, I promise, it ruins the momentum.
Oh, it does. It destroys the pacing.
Well, I think it's just anytime you've got a show that's that like. I call it like a movie series. Like you're sitting there watching a show that's good enough to where if this was a 2-hour movie, you would go and watch it. Like with a lot of television shows,
like
if you miss an episode, you're
was
like,
a
I don't
movie,
care.
you'd go watch it.
Oh yeah, you'd definitely be involved. With stuff that's that entertaining, it's hardcore. But when you have something like Friends or something like that and it goes to commercial, you're like, well, I'm going to go, pee or something like that. I got time.
There's a commercial. There's a channel on the cable service I have that has an on-demand where you can go look up a lot of the channels and stuff. A lot of cable does that now. And there was a commercial channel, and I turned it on just to see what it was about because I just looked at a trailer, and then it like switched to the commercial channel, and I started doing something, and I came back and started watching TV, and I sat there for like 10 minutes not realizing no TV was and I was just like, this is a trap, and I had to like exit out of it, like get away from it.
I wonder if the commercial channel is designed for the fact that television viewing audiences these days have absolutely no
attention span
we have no need to watch a commercial at all.
Maybe not 10 minutes, maybe a little bit exaggerated, but it like got me for.
I think you're starting to realize now how long you've been watching the commercial channel.
Oh my God, why is this still going on?
It's no different than if you find yourself watching TV at like 2 or 3 in the morning and you're watching an infomercial and you're thinking it's a commercial and there's like a television show on the other end of it. Yeah, it's like you're right on the other end of it, and then you're sitting there going, dude, there's nothing coming, dude.
Fucking slap chop can cut anything.
Dude, exactly.
Guys, I did my research, and this actually kind of came full circle. Viggo Mortensen in Lord of the Rings replaced Stuart Townsend, who ruined the Vampire Diary movies. And also, Daniel Day-Lewis was offered the part of Aragorn.
Whoa. I could see Daniel Day-Lewis.
I don't know the seriousness that would have come over that role. You know,
I mean,
I drank your milkshake.
He does bring a Paul. He does bring a Paul to whatever movie he's a part of.
I think he would have been so powerful.
Did anyone see Lincoln? I never saw it.
I haven't seen
I never
it,
saw
but I've
Lincoln,
heard.
but I
never
wanted
saw
to see it.
I want to see it. He
all
would have
know
been
how
so
it ends.
powerful. He may have been more intimidating than the Urukai. So
Well, honestly, though, There Will Be Blood, I watched.
I drink your One Ring.
Just to let you guys know, I tried to watch about 30 minutes of that movie.
It's a hard watch.
And I was
I'm
so
sorry.
desperately bored. 20 minutes into it, I was like,
What movie is
I'm gonna
this?
There Will Be Blood.
I thought it was
always am
great.
Like, oh, this is so good. I have to watch it. And then, like, whatever part I'm at, I just watch it. And I'm like, I just sort of like lose steam halfway through the film. I like can't
I mean,
finish
it's a really heavy-handed movie, though.
But
It is.
I've seen heavy-handed movies.
Well, I was about to
say.
say, like, Requiem for a Dream is one of those movies where you're going from one shock to another, but for some reason you're still entertained enough to where you get to the next one and you're like, all right, let's see what happens.
Requiem of a Dream is like one of those movies that I say is really good, but I'll never watch again.
Yeah,
There's
never gonna watch
plenty
it
of movies
again,
that I'll
exactly.
never see again.
Passion of the Christ.
Passion of the Christ was exactly where I was going.
Yeah.
I'll never see that movie again ever in my life, but I feel like everybody should see it once and be like, what am I watching?
Yeah.
But
And
everybody
for the
should deal with it
experience,
once.
for the
Batman
experience.
Forever. Never watched that
You
again.
just only need to watch once, and that way you can talk about them and understand them, and then you don't have to go back. Though you're good.
The new Lone Ranger movie. Never see it.
I will
Never
never
watching that
involve
one again.
myself in the Lone Ranger. Wasn't Johnny Depp?
Yeah,
Yeah.
He was they're trying
I mean-
to fucking Pirate of the Caribbean cash him in. They're trying
It was Pirates of the Caribbean in the West.
Yeah.
That's all it was. Now, to be fair, there were some cool action scenes, but really, it's just more of the same. More of Johnny Depp being weird and ridiculous and in costume. That's pretty much it.
Army Hammer may not have a career anymore.
Who?
Army Hammer,
Who's that?
Lone Ranger.
Oh, okay.
See, he's already fading from obscurity already. You don't know his
case
name.
and point. And with a ridiculous name like Army Hammer, you should stand out.
Yeah, you should know.
Seriously.
You should know he is more than a guy like Willem Dafoe, but with a name like Army Hammer.
Army Hammer. It sounds like someone's making fun of him.
It sounds like a
Or it
band
sounds
name
like
for a
some
terrible
real, like,
80s metal
Sounds like he had a
band.
really
real
bad
fascist
agent that
government
gave him
shit,
some really
you know?
bad advice.
But,
You should
it-
change your name to Army Hammer. Yeah, that sounds good.
But if you guys want to see Army Hammer in the Lone Ranger, I'd recommend checking out Netflix, because Netflix has a lot of groundbreaking shows right now. Orange is the New Black, Marco Polo, The Wacky Adventures of Kevin Spacey.
Orange is the New Black is
but
awesome.
they're getting ready
Yes.
to develop a live-action version of The Legend of Zelda, the classic video game series from Nintendo, and I already wish they would just bury this, because I don't want to hear Link talk at
That's true.
all.
I don't
That,
want
Ever.
that
but isn't that hard to do? That's hard to do.
Do you remember the 80s Zelda cartoon, Christian?
No, though that shit.
Oh,
Well,
God.
excuse me, princess. Do you really want to hear Link talking the entire time? No, because you are Link. That's the point of those games. You are on an adventure.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's like well, I remember that always came across to me as Deus Ex. Do you remember that video game series from back in the day? They got a lot of complaints on the first game because the main character was so dull, and they were like, no. The point is, you are him. He's not trying to be something. You know, it's just you going through this person's eyes. A lot like Fury. If you ever saw that film. This new guy joins this tank squad, and then this tank squad has to go do all this fucked up war
It's a
shit.
new Brad Pitt film.
Yeah, it is a
Yeah.
new Brad Pitt film, but you get to see it through this new guy that gets to join the army squad at the very beginning of the film. And just like Link, you're supposed to see through him and experience the world, but they have to make him a character.
And it's going to be even harder because if you've ever played a Zelda game, there's never been voice acting. Even in the new Zelda games, which are still coming out, there's no voice acting at all. The characters just grunt and make weird noises. And this is going to be the very first time that we're actually going to see these characters speaking for the first time. And I just don't know how it's going to work, because the whole premise of the game is just traveling a world, going to dungeons, solving puzzles, and that's it. Save the princess, a little bit of elaborate backstory. That's about it.
You have
My
to
favorite
find
part will
some
probably
stuff.
be watching people not know that Zelda is not the character that you're playing.
Like, I just don't think it's
That's
going
my
to be
favorite
exciting.
part,
It's
usually.
like, hey, did you watch Zelda last night? It was great. Link pushed a block into a corner and a door opened. It's like that's just, it's not going to work. It just doesn't translate
Did
all.
you see his sword shoot across the room? That was dope. Yeah, no.
Make some Link noises.
To be
Yeah, see it? Yeah.
And that's
That's
all
like
he
the
does.
noises he makes in like Smash Brothers.
fair,
and
to be
stuff.
fair, they did have a live action Mario Brothers cartoon.
Oh my
It
God.
sucked balls, bro.
It sucked major balls, but it did exist.
I don't remember a lot of specifics about
hope
it
they
because
didn't
that's
keep-
one of those.
If I was racist or Italian, I would have found it very racist.
It's
at
one of
the
those
time.
PTSD moments where I feel
It
like
was
I've blocked
very
it out.
stereotypical back in the
yeah.
day.
Wasn't John Leguizamo Luigi?
Yeah.
I think so,
He was
actually.
a mustacheless, backwards wearing hat Luigi.
Yeah, he was like Ghetto Luigi.
Whoa.
I mean,
That's
it's
right. One of the Mario Brothers did not have a mustache in that movie. That's just one of the millions of problems wrong with that
The
film.
Koopas. Oh my God! Don't even get me started.
They were Goombas, and
Goombas
they
or
were
whatever.
tall, and they had small heads, and in the game, they have small bodies and big heads, and it's just... they tried to go out of their way to do the exact opposite of everything. In that movie.
How much material did you have to work with Mario Brothers? It's a plumber that breaks blocks. I mean,
It's a plumber that gets dropped into this weird mushroom
he
world.
fights toadstools and eats mushrooms. The guy's obviously tripping.
The whole thing is obviously a bad trip. It's like, hey, who knew that the profession of plumbing had so much drug use involved? I had no idea.
It's not really that shocking to me.
But, I mean, but still, this Zelda thing appears to be happening. Nintendo has, oddly enough, not commented on any of it, which I think is really strange. Which might actually mean the series might not happen. But from what I've read and from what I've understood, Netflix is developing the show.
That's not a good sign.
Japanese company is very likely to stay quiet until they gauge how people are going to react. Mm-hmm. They're not going to.
Japanese companies don't play the PR game the same way we do at all.
They stay quiet much longer. They want to react. They don't want to go in with a headstrong plan
or an emotional move.
Right.
They do not do emotional moves for some reason. They're like, okay, and boom, everything's ready. Buy it now. You know, that's kind of how Smash Brothers is a little different. That's a game Corey and I play. Have you guys ever played Smash Bros?
I played it a long time ago, but I haven't played it in a while.
It's like a party game.
Like Smash Brothers had. They were slowly introducing the cast of, like, let's say there's 60 characters. I'm probably way off, but let's just say that.
Pretty close.
Yeah, and they were introducing the characters with little, like, 2-minute films that would come out that they release every 2 weeks or something. And then all of a sudden one of the employees, like, leaked an image of the whole roster, you know, like from the character selection screen. And that dude is getting sued to Jesus and back.
Sucks for that dude.
That's anytime I hear stuff like that, I always think that leaks, similar to the whole thing with, like, you know, the interview where, you know, the entire world was going to implode on itself. But
isn't it?
But before we get off onto that, the whole thing, like, anytime I hear that there was a leak and they say that guy is getting sued and stuff like that, part of me thinks that behind the scenes that dude's getting the $2 or $3 million that was promised to him. If they said, listen, we're going to publicly fire you, we're going to lambaste you, but go ahead and release this image, because a lot of that shit. There's a lot of stuff that if it happens, companies already know about it. They put a lot of that shit in motion as PR campaigns to build conversation about whatever their product or project is. Oh yeah, PR departments that really do smoke screens to make people go, wow, I really have to play that because now I know what all the characters are. I don't have to wait for the stupid movies to come out.
Well, it was a big controversy. Got front page on a few of the websites we read. I mean, it was a big deal. I don't know if it was a big leak, though, in the sense that all we got was, who did we get on that leak?
All they revealed were like 6 more characters who weren't revealed for like another month after that. I mean, you know, people were just excited, though, because Duck Hunt Dog was a part of the roster. You know, you can make Duck Hunt Dog fight Sonic the Hedgehog. That's hilarious in and of itself.
So many times.
But I mean, like, yeah, it didn't do much at all. I mean, the game still did gangbusters, made tons of money.
Yeah.
I feel bad for that guy, but a lot of people still theorize, like, you know, that was planned. Like, they were trying to build hype for the game again.
At the end of the day, with the interview, there's pretty much 2 ideas right now. And, like, the independent contractors think that someone at Sony leaked it after looking at the information, and the FBI says it was most likely North Korea. And, you know, who do you believe? I don't know, but
I'm of the mindset right now, personally, that you have way too much knowledge of what's going on and everything like that when it comes to, you know, the threats and all that stuff. If this was a really credible threat, then yes, they would have pulled it from theaters and they would have still not released the movie. If this was a really credible threat that things were going to get blown up and there would have been terrorists and all this shit, then I don't think it ever would have made it. I think it would have been one of those things that 2 or 3 years from now, it would have been like, hey, now that all the hype's died down, here's this movie we made a while back. But quite honestly, I saw the movie. It was okay. It wasn't nearly like the hype machine that, you know, got attached to it. Like I was expecting, you know,
I think
flowers to shoot out of Seth Rogen's ass at one point because it was such a
I think there was truth,
thing.
and I think there was, let's use it to our advantage as much as we can. I think it came out at the same time you had a bunch of people buying new PlayStation 4s, and you had a whole bunch of people pissed off they couldn't play their games because the network was down.
Oh, yeah, I was going to rent the movie through my PS4.
Yeah, I was frustrated because I just got my PlayStation 4. This is my Christmas present, and I can't play my games because a lot of the games have downloaded content, and Sony, to protect their property, you can't use your downloaded content unless you can verify it every single time via the network. Yeah. So it only takes, like, you know, this much of your broadband to verify your content, but if you can't get to the network, you can't play your game.
Yeah.
So
what games are like that? Because I have Far Cry 4, and it's so.
Well, like I was playing the WWE game, and because I had downloaded characters from the game, and those characters were now involved in storylines in my game. I could play the game, but I would have to reset everything to the factory default.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to lose all my progress. But then at the same time, I'm thinking, how much of this is really because they got hacked, and how much is it because they're building new server outfits right now for this new load? That's
a great. What about this? They're like, you know what? We make $200 million on sales at Christmas. I'm just making up numbers. But then it cost us almost $100,000 that one day of Christmas when we have an overlog on our servers.
We got to open 2 new facilities with nothing but server stacks
just to fucking handle Christmas when everyone gets their game. So they're like, why don't we just say we got hacked?
Or since we got hacked, let's buy ourselves a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Instead of having to pay people to work 24/7 on 3 rotating staff levels.
Would it be that crazy to think a company could do that? No, it's not that crazy.
We do that in my small business all the time. If something goes wrong, we're going to use it wherever we can.
Where do you work? No, I'm kidding. Don't answer that. The point is, though, it's not out of possibility. It's definitely within possibility.
Yeah, and nothing's ever my company's fault. It's always either a vendor's fault or the software company's fault. It's never our fault because the patient's mad at us or customer is mad at us.
Well, it brings it back to the whole interview thing. It was very easy to just blame North Korea. It was North Korea's fault we couldn't release this movie.
Fucking our whipping boy.
Yeah, dude, we'll just put somebody.
We don't do anything in North Korea.
Yeah,
we just talk shit.
I mean, how much of a threat is a country that,
there are people who are so weak they couldn't rise up to fight us.
Atrocity ever, only comparing to Africa, we do nothing, and we don't do anything in Africa.
Well, there's no oil there, so
and we have gone
batteries with their minerals.
So and
we've now gone down the political path.
And they're very bad to their people, but they really don't have much influence outside of the borders of North Korea. So.
Yes, it is a closed economy.
It's a very closed system, and China pretty much has them locked down because they're their only supporter that, all right, y'all can do your little crazy Korean shit right there in North Korea and keep your ass over there irritating South Korea. And, irritate Japan every now and then, whatever. But, what North Korea's purpose is to China is a heat sink. So China's over here doing moderately bad things. But Korea is up there doing. Look what they're doing. They're up there throwing people in ovens.
So China's got slaves, but Korea's murdering.
Right,
people. So we're cool though, right?
Right. That's why
Korea's murdering their
you
slaves.
have to think because I actually thought about this the other day. I was like, why does China? What is China's interest in keeping North Korea around? Because with no China, there is no North Korea. Russia, the United States, and South Korea, and Japan get together and go, okay, now we go fix these little guys. The whole reason they don't do that now is because China's going, hey. That's like our little retarded brother, and we're allowed to smack them around, okay? Only we're allowed to smack them.
What'd you say about my brother?
Like, when they shot off the nuke, China's like, hey, stop. But y'all don't smack it. We're going to stop.
You smack that helmet, sir. You smack it good. So I think we're pretty much at the end of this podcast.
Yeah, let's pull out of that topic before we get it pregnant.
Yeah, we don't want any more of those bastard children.
Giggity goo.
Giggity goo. Okay, everyone, this was episode 4 of the Powerful Nerdcast, and we want to thank our guests for coming on, Shane and Kenny. They are awesome dudes. And you guys have your own podcast, or Shane has his podcast.
Kenny wants to be on the show but have no responsibility in the show.
So I'm what you call talent.
Yes.
That's what he calls talent. But now that I'm older, we'll be coming up. These guys will definitely be joining us for another episode. I've had them on previously, so a lot of fun there. We talk about general shit that's changed now that we've gotten older, and the stuff like one of the things we're going to be talking about coming up on this episode is shit that my son and his generation and the new generation that's coming up will never deal with, like cords on the phones. Or waiting for the TV Guide channel to scroll the TV channel that you're waiting to watch, and missing the goddamn channel you want because you flip over and you're like Nickelodeon just passed, so you're like, God damn it, I have to sit here.
Turning your pager upside down to figure out what the coded message was,
or getting a 911 message on your pager,
or your parents thinking you're a drug dealer because you had a pager.
Never had pagers.
Yeah, at first
bro.
Well, we didn't either, but your parents assumed if you had a pager, you were selling.
Yeah, you were either a doctor or you sold drugs. That was just the way it worked.
So it was really just because you needed a way for your girlfriend to get in touch with you.
On there. So now that you're older
No, now that I'm older
is your podcast, and
It
people
is.
can find that on your website, which is nowthatimolder.com.
It is indeed now that I'm older.com.
And are you on any other
Shane's
networks?
pretty old.
Not at the moment. I'm actually working on I basically released the first 4 episodes as kind of like a test market to see how the content was received.
Okay.
And we have a reboot of the website coming
People
up very
love
soon.
me on the
But
show.
the point is that people can reach you at nowthatimolder.com.
Yes, and you can listen on nowthatimolder.com,
Yep.
and soon it will be on iTunes and Stitcher and SoundCloud and everywhere in the world.
Okay, so soon you're going to be on iTunes, which is the big one. Get on iTunes. We need to get on iTunes.
That's what I just said. I'll be on iTunes.
Yeah.
Jesus.
That's right. That's what he did say, people. Okay, Corey, thank you. I think this is a good, powerful Nerdcast. Don't you? This is a
Rock
good
and
one.
roll.
This was our first one with a guest. We're still figuring it out, everyone, so definitely stay tuned because we're going to have another guest when we record on Thursday next week. My good friend Nathan is going to talk about Dream Riders, his TV show he is doing. And you guys have actually, before we head out, you guys have done a movie. You want to talk about that? for
Oh,
a minute?
yeah, we did.
Yeah.
I think one of the guys from Dream Riders was actually in the movie, not the
Dalton?
same gentleman. Yes, Dalton.
Dalton
is,
Granville Lilly.
Dalton is a
see,
police
it's all-
officer.
It all goes around.
It's all very
so-
circular. But yeah, Dalton was in the movie.
So, Dalton, I got your email. I haven't responded yet because I got that today and we were doing this. But yeah, so we're probably.
okay, Mr. Excuses. What were you going to say?
Basically, Dalton was in the movie, but A Man in Desperation was an independent film. Kenny came up with the concept. We wrote a script, did the entire movie for a budget of around $750, but it's recorded in HD. It's a full-length feature film, which many people, when we told them the idea of doing a movie with no budget whatsoever,
It was
like,
produced on Hustlin'.
what? They were like, there's no way you guys are going to be able to do this without any money. We were like, watch us. So,
And they did, and I didn't
pulled
make
it off.
any money. I didn't make
no,
anything
Christian
off of
is the
that.
only one who made any money. So if any of the cast and crew need money, Christian, we've paid him handsomely.
We gave
his
him the
work.
money and told him to
I
split it
made
up.
all $700.
Yeah,
Oh,
all
yeah.
the $792 went to Christian. So if anybody needs any money,
But
Christian
after
is the
taxes,
guy.
And that movie is in post production right now. It should be done very, very soon. It's about 98% done.
Well,
Yeah.
you guys are some of my good bros because we all met on that film. I was one of the camera operators, and I very glad you came out and were part of our powerful Nerdcast today. We'll
Thank you, sir.
definitely have you back. Corey, anything you want to add?
No, just thank you guys for doing this. This is really fun with other people. I just want to mention, by the
Yeah.
way, I had like 8 topics planned. We went through like 3.
Yep.
So
It's the way it always starts with
and
stuff
that's
like
what I really
this.
loved about this, and I loved all the different inputs. So thank you guys for being here. We'd love to have you again.
Awesome.
No
Okay,
problem.
guys.
Thank
if
you, guys.
like this podcast, make sure and thumbs it up on YouTube. Make sure and follow us on Twitter. Like us on Facebook and all that jazz. We also have a donate button on our page in the video description that goes through PayPal. So if you want to donate to the channel, you're more than welcome to. And also, we have a Amazon Associates link. So if you buy anything with Amazon through that link, it ends up sending us a few bucks. So help out the podcast and the channel with that, guys. Thank you so much. And until next time, Powerful Nerdcast.
Powerful Nerdcast.
Make money, more.